Hello. I've been speaking things that's quite out of the world. Yeah. Now I've been talking from a person-centric model of the universe. And the previous video, I spoke about speaking from inside the dot of Sri Chakra. Whereas people, I've found, often are kind of speaking from the outside, the gateways of Sri Chakra. One of the points, or the dashes, or the angles, or outside and looking in. So if you kind of consider as people are walking to a direction, a better place, consider it to be like from the framework to the center of Sri Chakra, I'm coming from here. So against the current, if that's a perspective. So in that sense, I'm from the other side. Yeah, people are walking to one side and I'm from the other side. Yeah, outside too, and I'm from here now. Um, the worldview from the other side is different. Okay. And I've been functioning from you since some time. Now, how did I get to the center? It's more like Journey to the Center of the Earth. There's this book which they then translated to this movie, Journey to the Center of Earth, and back. Okay. So there's a journey to the center, and then there's a journey from the center. I don't know. I think there are two books. Part one, part two. I don't know. The movie has two parts, but they do come back. Yeah, after the journey to the center of the earth. The point is, how did I get to the center? It's like that movie, a kind of. I cannot really say that, but it's an eventful journey, kind of. Yeah. It's a long story, in short. And that includes 19 plus years of um, medical transcription, and then which means I've had to listen. Yeah. So listening has been one of the challenges that life has been facing. Also, the idea of, you watch people in kindergarten, they say, sit in one place. Yeah. Don't make a sound. Sit silent. I mean, sit silent still and don't do anything because they would always be reaching out for something. Silent, still, and do nothing. Yeah. Kindergarten, a lot of trouble. Parents also have a trouble because they're all the time moving. Turns out human beings have a difficulty doing that. Being silent, still, and doing nothing is a challenge that even nature faces because, well, humans are like standing up all the time, restless, reaching out for something. And they've been expecting quite the impossible from kids. Yeah. And life found a way to fix the problem. 19 plus years of medical transcription. Me. Yeah. I was thinking life was punishing me because I have a lot of interest. I like to do many things. One computer, yeah, sit and use my hands to type, foot pedal to use my feet, all my senses. Because I have to watch what's happening on the screen, I have to listen, I have to use my hands, I have to use my legs. And I got to sit, which means I cannot slump, which case work doesn't happen. I got to sit in a particular way. And then I got to transcribe auditory text, doctors speak. I listen to it, yeah, audio, and then translate it into electronic media on the screen, written text in English. And then I have to correct medical records. A patient visits a doctor, and then the doctor diagnose different things that happen in a clinical setup, in a hospital setup, in a patient-doctor interaction. And then they might prescribe, say, labs or medical imaging, for example, or different activities. And that whole patient journey through different episodes of meeting the doctor or through labs, different things get recorded, dictated. I listen to the dictation and put it in a text document and then make corrections. For example, the medical prescriptions or the names of medications or the lab names, the values, the outcome, for example, glucose levels or BP or EKG, the values there, and different details. I got to make sure that they are right. They're not speaking about one place, one geographical location, and the country somewhere else. Because that might sound like another country, but I got to make sure that the place they're talking about is in that country and not somewhere else. So the document needs to be accurate. Yeah. So find the details to see how A is related to B. Yeah. If A is equal to B and B is equal to C, A is equal to C. I got to make sure that all of this kind of matches up. So it takes some skill, medical transcription, and then I got into a paid setup. I worked for a company, and then I continued to transcribe, sitting in the same place, one computer, all of my faculties, and listen, sit still enough to hear and then interpret it. So I'm not making my own stories, but I'm actually staying focused on what the doctor's saying, or the different dictators, and then to translate that into a report. Okay, 19 plus years. Okay, and then over and above that, I facilitate health clinically. Yeah, that's like from 2013 till continuing. And that involves me sitting in one place. Yeah, not talking much, facilitating health clinically without using instruments, visualizations, chanting, energy manipulation, or what have you, using any instruments or moving much muscles to facilitate health clinically. So after 19 plus years of silence, stillness, nothing, or more like listening, yeah, not much movement, and then doing something, not a whole lot of activities, some things, and then facilitate health clinically, but kind of continuing the same thing, but not, neither am I prescribing something for the person or instructing them to do things in a particular way. Yeah. So no judgment, no direction and manipulation and changing, no magic, none of that stuff. To facilitate health clinically, guess how much of circus Liza's life has done training to have a human being show up. Because restless, moving all the time, yeah, listening. So it's kind of a different extensive training and continuing. So it's, I told you it's a long story. Now, a lot of things. So it's kind of like life fast tracking me into what I'm speaking. Yeah, because I discovered over time that human beings are designed to enliven life in the multiverse. Yeah. So people have been wondering about a lot of existential questions. Who am I? What am I? Where am I? Why in the world am I doing all of this stuff? How am I related with everybody? And why should I be related with them? Let's just say 14 questions. For all practical purposes, we can, some people spend their lifetime inquiring into why are you doing what you're doing? Yeah. Or what in the world is right? While who is right is a question. It's not about who's right, it's about what is right. Yeah. So these are questions which have quite some gravitas. People spend lifetimes. Their professions take shape from just answering one of the question. What are you talking about? Yeah. That could be about communication, journalism. So I have 14 questions. Okay. Sri Chakra has a 14 triangle circle for a perspective. Okay, there are other connotations there. Um, I have a frame of reference from which I'm speaking. So this kind of gets a little heavy with information, layered like a multi-layer cake. Mahameru is also said to be like a multi-layer, 9 layers, Avarnavs. But the thing is, I have a frame of reference from which a lot of information has been layered in a way that I can make sense of it. People talk about nanotechnology, you know, microchips or nanochips, a lot of information. So I found a way to, well, make sense of all that there is. I'm talking from the center of the Sri Chakra dot while people are having partial differential equations from their perspectives. And how then do you? So I've been talking about many fields of work, many ways of thinking, and several perspectives, paradigms of thinking. And there have been many questions of what do I eat for breakfast? Yeah. And how do I manage, or rather, how do I live? How do you do what you do? So these are some of the frequently asked questions through telepathy, yeah, and many other kinds of yantra mantra tantra practices. So if you watch the movie Bruce Almighty, yeah, they're the protagonist, um, is said to he's been riling against God, yeah, in the movie. And then God says, okay, now you do my work for a day. I'll go for a vacation. Yeah. God, go for a vacation. You do my work for a day, and then you can do my work better. You can do my work better than me, then do it for a day. Yeah. And then you will kind of know. So I'll go for a vacation. Everybody has a vacation. I'll go for a vacation too. So, and then he gets to start listening. Yeah. Different people's prayers and different things. And he gets so full of all the sounds. He's listening all the time. He says, yeah, everybody's wish is granted, kind of. And that causes chaos and pandemonium. Yeah. So God's doing some work. Yeah. The Upanishad is talking about a human being, Star Trek, growing up to become a person of any repute of a certain substance. And then they talk about, from hell climbing up to heaven and then keep going. There's this idea of Ravana, yeah, or there's this idea of infinite journey, 0 to 9, 9 to 19, and 0, 10 to 19, and then 22. We have lots of numbers. So how do you live an infinite life? And how do you manage other details? Yeah. Simple. We got a lot of simple. For example, I have the framework called Sri Chakra. Guess how long it took for me to layer information on just one framework? There are some other details, but it makes life simpler. But you have the Sri Chakra for a frame of reference. And my perspective is different from the center dot. So how did I get to the center? And why all of this fast track? Because human beings evolved over time, several cycles of evolution. And we have the internet formed, and then we have different ways of living. And the fabric of time space has been healing since some time, like since the Big Bang. And Earth didn't form overnight. And on planet Earth are human beings who didn't form overnight either. And over several cycles of evolution, my life, fast track. At some point, the internet came into existence. Didn't form overnight. Some person thought of the idea, started putting one code, another code, and then thinking about before that computer had to be formed. And then what can you do with a computer? Like there's a human being formed. What can you do with a human being? Yeah, like that. Computer and then internet. Over time, one message was able to be communicated from one location, one room to another location without a wire. Before that, Bluetooth, or after that, Bluetooth came to before that. So people have been arriving with different kinds of ideas, and over time, we have the internet, over which we are speaking, communicating. I'm saying things, you're getting a message. So life is simpler, different. We are using technology, and we have nature, nurture, consents. Nature, and then technology, and beauty with a purpose. Life is a beauty and it has a purpose. So each of us have life. We have a body that's human, evolved. What's evolved over several cycles of evolution with the purpose. We have the Miss World, Miss Universe. Guess how long the Miss World, Miss Universe award ceremony, that whole thing had to take shape, and now we have it every year. Didn't form overnight. So, with several cycles of civilization, we have many such facets. So I can talk connecting the dots between these different ways of thinking. And I'm speaking from the center of Sri Chakra. Yeah, just a perspective. Everybody going to a better place. I'm speaking from a better place. And I'm saying that, people, there are good news. And I cannot speak all of it. You cannot. It's more like a buffet, lots of stuff. And if your capacity is only to listen to, I heard the raindrop. Yeah, good. That's all you are ready to hear because you got lots of stuff going on in your life. Then you can listen to that. But if you're more ready to listen to the purpose of living and what human beings are designed for and why are we in existence, what better can we do with our time, our 24 hours? Luckily, we are all on the same planet Earth. And all of us have 24 hours in a day. A beggar and a millionaire both have 24 hours. It's about what each person does in their 24 hours. So if you're willing to listen in terms of that, yeah, we have some news for you here. Yeah, some stuff you haven't heard anywhere else because I haven't spoken this anywhere else before, or I've been speaking, but it's like the story keeps getting better. You have sugar, you make sweets, you boil it, boil it, boil it. You can make concentrated sugar, and then you can make confectionaries from there. So my story has been boiling and boiling and becoming finer and finer. It's so concentrated. I'm speaking from the center of Sri Chakra. Yeah. And I'm talking about many kinds of information, so nanotechnology, tiny. So I'm talking about many things. Um, ooh, best of several. And I'm talking in terms of science and several hard problem of consciousness, um, unsolved conjectures. Point conjecture then there is Laplace transforms, and then there is Navier-Stokes, and then there is yesterday I got to know about Goldbach conjecture, and many such unsolved problems, a bit proof for them, so those kinds of questions. And I'm finding, there's actually a reason for, um, I'll give you a perspective. You have problems in life, and you can keep worrying over them, until you kind of see a bigger perspective. For you're headed somewhere else, and that reaching there is more a bigger problem than your tiny little thing. Yeah. And as you're working towards that, these problems get resolved. Because, well, solving these problems is part of getting there. Yeah. Or rather, getting there requires you to see your existing problems from a new perspective. And consequently, how you see things, how you see life, how you interpret the different aspects of a problem, your perspective changes. And from those new perspectives, the problems that you have is seen from another perspective. And consequently, or rather, the problems that you have is seen more from a solution perspective, which is impossible to be seen until you change your perspective. Okay? So I have a goal when living life in the multiverse. And from that perspective, a lot of the problems, the different aspects of the problem, are seen differently. Recently got to know Faraday's equations. Light is associated with electromagnetism, but the magnetic effect of light on the substance light interacts with had not been studied. They've been studying some certain effects, but the conclusions, right questions, wrong, okay, right conclusions, but wrong logic of how the results are showing up. That has had a little perspective. Yes, a small little shifts. It's like this video that's called the imperfect ballet. Yeah, everything coordinated fine, and then how we've been seeing things is slightly different. It may seem chaotic, but chaos is unknown order, their own unique orders. Ballet, everybody functioning together, and each person in a troupe is a unique person, and they have their own rhythms. And you would say imperfect ballet. Human beings, we are all doing our stuff. It's kind of like an imperfect ballet, but it's perfectly imperfect. Yeah. And to make sense of chaos, you had to all sit in one place, march past left, right, while each of them have their own, I want to move, I want to dance, I want to sing. That will be interesting. So, um, from those perspectives, how we look at the problems we have, like particle physics, protons, neutrons, electrons, quarks, and quarks, and molecules and atoms, and human body, one entire system with different kinds of these particles, and each of them functioning in their own little quirky ways, yeah, idiosyncrasies. And so life has had a problem having the particles behave in such a way that life went live into the multiverse because human beings didn't form overnight. Neither did Earth, nor did life since the Big Bang. Okay. Now, this is the part where I speak about things you haven't heard or thought of thinking about here. I also study history and science, different kinds of subjects. So people go to school, me too went to school. And then we continue my education through also watching movies and songs and different kinds of texts and reading papers and different people's stories. And I continue my education. I call them education because they are very educative, informative. And then it's like you putting jigsaw puzzles together or Lego pieces. When you take one piece of information, put it together with another, it forms a structure. The same pieces, put it in another structure, in another order, it forms another structure. So then, as I've been doing this, adjusting little details and then seeing how I found there are no contradictions in life. What there is a lack of perspective. And when your perspective changes, the problems you see are seen from another solution possibilities. Several kinds of solutions or possibles. Then you see permutations and combinations. Over time, mathematics make more sense. And then you start seeing in patterns, but solution patterns. And then you also see in terms of problem patterns, where the problems are coming from, where the solution are. There is a solution. Do people even know the solution is there while they're dealing with this problem? But do they also know there is a solution? So then how then do you match problems with solutions? Yeah. So I'm speaking from how to become more my kind of a person. Yeah. Because life has fast-tracked me into my ways of thinking. And every person is a dot. Carl Sagan says, like a dot and big egos. When you kind of boil all those ego stuff and you come to a dot, yeah, it's a very humbling experience. And then it's like beauty with a purpose. I had to actually study this, Miss World and Miss Universe and what they're doing, and they're actually doing good work. So how come, Miss World, Miss Universe, no, a beauty with a purpose. So your ego, the values, you go to school, you learn many things, you begin to start adding value differently. So I'm to create more me, my kind of people, my kind of persons. Um, and so I have things to say, which may not have been heard before. It's more like we're just warming up. We haven't even begun. Okay. So, according to the topic of today's video, you may have heard about Queen Victoria. She is one of those people who brought three kingdoms together during the course of her work. More. There were many related details in what became possible. And then there's a story of a personal life where she really loved her husband. And they have had many children. And one of his sons went to college from the home. I mean, she basically introduced the Christmas celebrations, is what I heard about. the Christmas tree and then family. And so there's a very family-oriented thought line as a queen. And then as a queen, she's been taking care of so many areas of life and bringing together countries, kingdoms. And then her son goes to school, college, and then he gets into alcohol and different influences which were not quite there, not that way, while in the family setting. Or the son came under the influence of many things. And then there's this idea of the prodigal son. Yeah. I don't know what happened. Um, the husband person had a heartbreak, and died. Is some the version of the story that I heard about. So there's a triangle there. Okay. Um, and then the queen continued several stories from um, it's more like domino from there. Yeah, it's kind of stories and from there the next queen. But several changes in how civilization took shape. Yeah, significant part of human history. Mm, I'm from India, and India is also affected by different cycles of evolution through civilizations, timelines. There's a triangle there. And when we say Jaya, Victoria, victorious, several things emerged during that time. So my reference is to that triangle. That's like Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Yeah, Father, King, um, Son, and we consider Queen Victoria to be like the Holy Spirit. Yeah, um, that still has relevance in terms of biblical terms. But there is this incarnation theories. Yeah, but even if you don't go by that, the fabric of time space is affected by several kinds of triangles. Sri Chakra is talking about lots of triangles. There is this trifecta. Yeah? Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Mm. Ooh, this is a difficult bit. I know. Okay, so I'm saying things, it is believe it or not, or it's, oh my goodness, I'm going to be audacious. Because my job is about enlivening life in the multiverse, and which means I have to speak things you haven't heard before so that you see existing problems, existing challenges in a new light. Okay? And I know about this triangle. Okay. So I have been studying people and sociology and history and different movements and how civilization is moving as I've been facilitating health clinically because I've been noticing where do diseases come from. I'm a health facilitator from the biodynamic perspective, and I study these different rhythms of life, different movements, sociology and politics and economics and entertainment, and I study the rhythms of life. And I noticed Mr. Elon Musk building rockets to fly off to Mars. And when I connected that with the theosophy, there's this idea of the prodigal son. Okay. And I have this perspective from the center of Sri Chakra. And I'm noticing you want to fly off. Yeah. It's such a big infrastructure, such a beautiful place. And we have this entire big family estate, like since the Big Bang. People are talking about space. We got planets and stars and galaxies and all kinds of places. And you want to fly off to Mars. Yeah. And he speaks in such a way that he actually inspires other people to dream of colonizing Mars. But then he's speaking after other people talking about colonizing Moon or Venus or other. I'm thinking, have you actually noticed where you are on Earth? I mean, we have Google companies like Google and Meta and many companies, and they have an infrastructure for their employees. I don't think they're seeing Earth like this big company by Almighty Inc. Yeah, tend to call it as almighty dotting. If you're going to consider Earth to be like a big infrastructure where people are doing different kinds of work, I don't think people are looking at Earth like that. Yeah. And then I'm seeing this big family estate since the Big Bang. Got lots of potential. It's like a place where life can show up. Yeah. It's a big family estate. Really, really good place. Now, and then I'm seeing we're all on planet Earth. Yeah. And one wants to fly to Mars. So I connected that with the prodigal son. Did I make it up? I also got to know I have a complementary partner, my significant other. And I've been studying my own stories as to why I do what I do. And I started training clinically, training to facilitate health clinically. One of the reasons I found is I like to heal a broken heart and restore the genuine smile. Over time, I got to know about Queen Victoria's story and that her husband died of a broken heart. And then I also got to know Shiva. I mean, I read the Shiva trilogy, Mr. Amish Tripathi's. And there is reference to Shiva having a lopsided smile. Yeah, even no, lopsided smile. And I've noticed my significant other having a lopsided smile. And when I first met him, yeah, I was kind of energetically, so to speak. You kind of read people. It's not that I read people, but I facilitate health biodynamically. So a body speaks in many ways. One of the things is emotions. Yeah. And he seemed to be kind of, I was thinking, sad on the right side. Not on the left, not much, but significantly, I was kind of noticing right side. I was thinking, okay, now, yeah. Um, I connected certain dots kind of over time. It's a long story how I recognized he's my significant other. Oh my God, my world goes round. That's a big story in and of itself. So we don't want to collude all of those different big stories. I told you, from the center of Sri Chakra, lots of perspectives. But he has a lopsided smile. Yeah, all the time. It's changed. It's gotten better over time. I'd like to think that. But when I watch people clicking a photo and they going on a smiley face, ew, it gives me the rashes. But we also have smileys, but people, I used to notice different kinds of facial expressions. They have a photo-ready smile. Yeah. And then I got to know about the Duchenne smile. Okay. It's called a, a categorically a description of what a genuine smile looks like. Duchenne. How the facial features look like in a genuine smile. So somebody's actually studied smiles years back. So I'm not the only one who's been bothered by smileys. Yeah. And what makes a difference? Big difference in how our social interactions are, could be, would be. So when I started facilitating health clinically, one of the questions that emerged is it's an interactive study material, study format. So there are also questions that you ask that are asked that we need to think about and arrive at our answers. And I discovered I like to facilitate health clinically to restore the broken heart, um, to heal the broken heart and restore the genuine smile. And then I discovered the Duquesne smile and many such other details. And then I read Queen Victoria's story. So in my uh, evolution of my story, I have Queen Victoria's story. And then there's also, big Victoria's Jaya Parvati Vrata. There's also mythology. Yeah, how are you developing And then Carl Jung speaks about archetypes. Yeah. And archetypes are like, they are already there in our whole system. For example, South India has several gods, goddesses, demons, demonesses. They're ideas of archetypes. They're like archetypes. Yeah. They're archetypes. And then in society, like for example, there's the witch archetype, there's the gauge archetype, there is the evangelist archetype. Well, yeah, there are many kinds of archetypes, and they're not necessarily equated with gods and goddesses, but the archetypes. Queen Victoria is a form of a story archetype. There are 4 Egyptian queens who have made a difference in how history showed up. Yeah, the Muslim community would have 4 mothers. Kama Sutra also has reference to 4 kinds of females. So there are archetypes, but from a story archetype. Yeah, like you watch a movie, you have a hero and a heroine archetype. And what the hero heroine does in a movie, in a comedy, in a satire, in a uh, theatrical epic would be different. And accordingly, the stories take shape. There would also be a villain, yeah, and then the tension in the story. So some main characters, and then what they do changes how what the stories and how the story takes shape. Different things. Yeah. Queen Victoria, her partner, significant other, uh, king, and Mr. Elon Musk became the son. Prodigal son. Yeah. How is it life after Mars? And I'm thinking we got to live in life in the multiverse, and we got lots of potential. We got also the technology for how is that possible. For example, when humanity cross boundaries, then human beings function across countries and different paradigms of professional expertise, skills too. And when we are functioning together, you see, planet Earth, we talk about internet. If you're kind of like going to log into one portal, we are all on planet Earth, thankfully. So we can function together as one company. You log in, and then today's update, there's this idea of the movie Wall-E, where people are kind of logging in a bubble space. And then I started healing the fabric of time space. And then we're all in planet Earth. And there's this person talking about colonizing in Mars, and others thinking of Venus, and you're on planet Earth. There's a better plan. Yeah, there's a finer way by which we don't have to spend exorbitant amount of money in having the results we'd like to have. We all build castles in the air. Now to put a nice little foundation. Yeah, whereby Earth, the infrastructure that is already there, Earth, almighty dotting, functioning all together in such a way that life enlivens in the multiverse. There used to be signs of life on Mars and Venus, is what I heard. And there used to be Star Wars between galaxies. I mean, we heard about those kinds of stories, but are they also part of past civilizations? And then things didn't work out. How many times the Big Bang happened? No idea. But I have this idea that Earth didn't form overnight. And like a model, through several iterations, we now have Earth with the composition it has, um, with the memories, with the different cycles of evolution that then over time then formed human beings. Man, 5 mass extinction events. And then, so Earth has gone through a lot. Yeah. So human beings didn't form overnight. And then we have the story of Queen Victoria and her husband and son. You know, um, there's this movie, Wicked, where they're talking about Elphaba and Galinda. Japanese, Chinese, Korea people, they have this idea of a rock, jade, yeah? And then the quality of jade. where watermelon jade, like if they break it, kind of, there's a pink heart and regarded to be valuable, different things. And I'm thinking watermelon. That also has green and pink. Alphaba, Galinda. I also got to know Hydra, microorganism, the water dwelling, like a tree. Yeah, rooted, got all plants, many kind of just move around. Yeah, like a tree. Yeah. When they take a cross section of Hydra, I saw a video that says they found green and pink. And I've been seeing sari fabric with green and pink. Sometimes I would see green with pink. I would see pink with green, and then golden cherry and all of that stuff. And I'm thinking, okay, I was thinking, I'm seeing this. It's all very nice. And then I watched this video about Hydra. I'm thinking, I've seen this green and pink. I'm thinking, interesting. Yeah. And then you kind of connect the dot. Oh, yeah, I'm seeing something big. Yeah, how is this relevant? What does this do? Then I made a movie, a video about how did water form on Earth. Yeah, I've discovered that water is a love potion. They also call Devamrita. Samudramanthan, yeah, mythological reference. They're talking about elixir of life. I have not seen water the same way since. Yeah, I've been thinking potion, love potion, Devamrita. And it also rains. It's like people are talking about Samudram, elixir of life. Yeah, drink water, maintain life. Life has never been the same when I look at water and greenery and what we have on Earth. And I'm looking at, they are thinking of forming colonies on Mars. Yeah. So I'm speaking, so people have a different perspective of what you have on Earth and what could be done by us functioning by humanitarian boundaries. Back to watermelon. Water melon. Yeah. You know, there's another aspect to the story, and that comes from Mr. Amish Tripaঠি's Shiva trilogy, where Sati was said to have been assassinated, yeah, by um, mhm, a ten, yeah, said to be a god in Greek mythology or Mesopotamian civilization, those kinds of ideas. And there's this reference to a 10 worshipping an unknown goddess because the person who assassinated Sati in that Amrishapati story um, didn't know Sati's name. Yeah. And that was the last time he took up a 10, took up the thing of assassinating, killing anybody because that was his undoing. And then he worshipped this goddess. And then there's a civilization from there, from Aten. And I was thinking, Mr. Elon Musk, yeah, the assassin. There is this idea of the Neverland and Everland. Yeah, so there's a story called Black Saturn. Yeah, uh, okay, and that has mentioned it's a trilogy. Okay, Black Saturn is one of the um, books. Um, you can look up it, written by a teenager. When I was like, mind-boggling. It's like I looked and looked again. Teenager? You should see that. You should read that story. Yeah. You will think old wine in new bottle. Ooh. Written by a teenager. Or maybe it's not it maybe an adult, wrote in a teenager's format. I don't think so, because these days we're hearing kids talk about stuff, little babies. Ooh. So the fabric of time space has been healing since some time, and people have been getting intelligenter. I'm speaking my stuff. Yeah. And there's this biblical reference to Jesus being buried in Malayalam, they say Temmadikuri. Yeah. people who, for example, Neverland has reference to people who by suicide or by murder, yeah, somebody else. So it's more like bad karma. So they go to Neverland, kind of. Tamarikuri. Yeah, they're not buried along with the other people who died other than by suicide or by murder or all that stuff. So Jesus was crucified. Yeah. And so he goes to Tamarikuri. That's the understanding of my story. That related with Neverland, and Mother Mary resuscitated him. That's the another part of the story. Yeah. Um, so Sati died not by natural causes, and Aten, the person who assassinated, also pined. Kind of, they're karmically related. Yeah, you do not so good things. By karma, you're related to the other. That's called runanubandhas. Yeah. So you have family members, you have neighbors, you got friends, you got people from across lifetimes, are all related in many interesting ways. And we're all on planet Earth. So they also say going beyond your karma and all those entanglements and all of that stuff. So Einstein was bothered with spooky action at a distance and quantum mechanics and all that stuff. We also have quantum entanglements and those kinds of things. So how do they all work? People are still studying microscope and telescope and different instruments being used to study how does phenomenon happen. There's a hard problem of consciousness. Yeah. So I discovered all of these stories, and then there's thing that I noticed, and then my job is about enlivening life in the multiverse because life fast tracked my story. Natural selection, yeah, acing the human race. I happen to be talking from the top of Mahameru right now because I have a certain view from the hilltop or mountaintop. Um, Others don't. Yeah, and so I'm speaking from my perspective, from what I can see. And I got to say this, so message to millions. And I have this story about Queen Victoria and this trilogy, Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, and Mr. Elon Musk, the Boring Company, and Tesla, yeah, SpaceX, XApp, yeah, all these details. You're doing a good job. Yeah, good, nice work. But people may be having a difficulty in understanding why does he do what he does. Well, yeah, like torchbearer, Grok, and all that. So how are all these related? And I'm speaking about in living life in the multiverse and another set of what in the world are you talking about? Yeah, about what am I doing? And my thought line is also to restore heal the broken heart and restore a genuine smile. I got my partner with since I'm kind of saying I don't want to talk to you because I'm saying stuff out of the world, yeah. And I have the internet didn't form overnight, yeah. And I have these thought lines, and we have WHO's global list of diseases, and people talking about flying to Mars and colonizing, and there's a different story that's possible when we look at our set of circumstances, our theories, our ways of living, our mythologies and ethnicities, and what have you, from a newer perspective. How we formulate our stories will be different. So I'm like the freshwater river where the fresh water flows, civilizations steam around it. Yeah. So I happen to be like the river of life. There's this idea of this movie, Raya and the Last Dragon. Shishu is said to have gone to sleep at the bottom of the river of life. Yeah. And then from there, biology terms, embryology, in terms of embryology, the primitive streak is from the ass to the head. Yeah. So the gut, mouth, and gut, they're all kind of related. But apparently, life began from the bum. Yeah. They say Muladhara, all the way to head, and we have left and right symmetry and all that stuff. So the river of life, there's this idea of the Kundalini. Yeah. So when the Kundalini awakens, life shows up differently. So I happen to be like the Kundalini for Earth. Oh, I don't know. I have this like river of life and Raya and the Last Dragon, and this idea of the Kumandra, which is also like Shishu's gem and living life in the multiverse kind, and yeah, all of this. You should watch the movie Raya and the Last Dragon to get an idea of what Kumandra is, or a little more perspective. There also they're talking about Big Bang and how Shishu's gem then that turned things around, and the movie Moana is also talking about black things, and then Tefiti restores heart, and then life again comes back and lives again, all green and nice and beautiful. Related ideas. Yeah. So me talking in similar terms. Yeah. And we have people like the Internet Lifestyle Hub, Mr. Siddharth Rajshekar, Mr. Elon Musk. There are many people do good work. For example, Mr. Siddharth Rajshekar is trying to build a Nalanda-like university, yeah, where learning happens and people are teaching and they're learning stuff that is worth learning. We're all on planet Earth, different people doing different work. Now I'm doing this work about living life in the multiverse, and I have a perspective from the center of Sri Chakra. Yeah, it makes life simple. You can get your stuff together, and then we can collate information, information technology. And I'm speaking from nature's original information technology, like from just having a body that's human. People have the idea of the computer and the internet. And then there's this idea of virtual reality. You know, how is reality related with virtuality? We have the internet. And then this idea of Prakriti and Purusha, nature, nurture, Shakti, Shakta, Yin Yang, other than technology. But that's a different kind of technology. On how to keep things together in such a way that life and live into the multiverse. Okay? That's the difference between artificial intelligence and original human intelligence. And I'm facilitating that. So I had to bring this perspective for people to have a better understanding of what in the world am I doing? Yeah. And why am I doing it? And where are my thought lines coming from? So I will make more videos. Yeah. So we have a better perspective on how to look at our existing bits of information and then what we can do with them and how we can look at the information we have. Also, now people are setting up dish antennas to listen to sound from outer space. Yeah. Then one of the things I discovered is humans don't listen very well. Yeah. And even if they do listen, how they interpret the information needs a little improvement. Yeah. So I'm like addressing a problem that we may not even have thought needs addressing. Yeah. So do stay tuned. More information coming. Yeah. More entertainment. If this seems like something that you'd like to laugh about, laughter is good. Also, it enlightens, makes things lighter. If this is all heavy stuff, you can listen to music, but we got these stories too. And how you formulate, develop your own stories would get better, and your own theory of everything gets better. And when your theory of everything gets better, a lot of things become healthier, wealthier, wiser. Yeah, so that's possible too. That's one of the permutations, combinations possible. It's not just doomsday. It's also possible that things turn out to be better, things get better. And living on Earth sustainably is also possible, by which life could end live in, life would end live in the other planets, and it wouldn't take so much of money, yeah, to have your dreams come true. What you may need to look at your several details and what exactly, why do you want to go to Mars? I mean, the thing is, we all build castles in the air, and there will be a reason why we are building them. What's the basis for your dreams? Why are you having those dreams and those particular dreams in that format? Then we are going to examine from the basics, and I'll be speaking from the dot. It becomes easier for us to land our castles on a foundation base that then makes sense ecologically, economically, viability, and how then you wouldn't need too much infrastructure, and you will know what you would need, so you would have better perspective. So I'm thinking if Mr. Elon Musk is like a prodigal son and he went to college, and I'm thinking he's having a little difficulty with colleges for entertainment. Real education happens elsewhere. There are many people who also think in those terms. So I don't know if they're all different aspects of the same prodigal son syndrome. Yeah, education doesn't work. Um, it influences you differently, and those kinds of thought lines. So something to think about. So I have the Sri Chakra has 36 angles and 36 lines. So that forms 72. The Melakarta Raga has 72 raga. So I have a few frames of reference by which to talk to millions. Yeah, message to millions. So how do I talk to all of them? Um, I'd have to make different messages, but I'm just beginning to speak. Um, and I'm a human. So if you're human, I'm talking humanese, or I'm talking human things. If any of these perspectives resonate with you at some point, you've thought along these lines. So I'm like speaking to the auditorium. Yeah, lots of people, 360 degrees. And like Earth, and I'm speaking from the center core. Yeah. So I hope this gives a little bit of perspective on my existential angst and my ergonomic concern. And we'll all get to a better place. Yeah. Thankfully, we are all on the same planet Earth. Can you imagine the confusion there will be? Ooh, yeah. Humanity cross boundaries, ecological economics, and connect Earth, and all these nice stuff. Yeah. So thank you so much for your kind interest. We are working to make things better. Yeah. We also have artificial intelligence to support our technological challenges on how people from different parts of the globe are going to be communicating humanity cross boundaries. We have the internet, but we need some technical support for United Nations formed over time. Good. And now technologically, how we're all going to be connected, um, such that we're all functioning like people from one organization, the almighty dotting. Um, Earth infrastructure, beautiful, one purpose, and living life in the multiverse. And that requires certain thought lights. We may have to devise, what do you call that? Dashboards for it's like a game, yeah. And then there's this idea of Quidditch in Harry Potter series, but then that's talking about two sides with three rings. And I'm saying male dynasty, female dynasty, it's not either or. Both need to win. It's not win or lose. How would games form where everybody wins? If everybody needs to win, what's the game about? Solving problems. But it's not just about solving problems, but it's about how you do what you do changes what you see and how you see things. Heisenberg principle. But I'm talking in terms of there's this idea of Heisenberg uncertainty principle. Here I'm talking about Heisenberg kind of certainty principle. Corollary. If there's uncertainty principle, there would also be certainty because that's also part of the permutations combinations. Yeah. And I'm talking in terms of SCARF, security, certainty, yeah, autonomy, relatedness, fairness. And I'm also thinking humane care. But at least I have this idea of SCARF. So how can we be certain about something? How would we need to function from having certainty? So a game where everybody wins, in which case, what are we having a game against? Um, who is right? Yeah, win lose to what is right? Or what is better worked upon such that things are getting better and you're leveling up, stepping up. So it's a different kind of a game. We will need to put our heads together and how we can have those kinds of games and where everybody wins. That'll be fun. Yeah, we have Harry Potter series, Four Houses. We also have a pack of cards has 4 houses. We got Sri Chakra with 4 gateways. We already have the frameworks for thinking along those lines. We just have to change how we look at things and what's possible from looking at a unifying field rather than a already unified. Unifying, it's an ongoing thing. Yeah. Convection. You're cooking something, things get better, get fine and refined, and good, nice dishes. Yeah. So I have a kitchen theme. I call it MITI kitchen. But we are all on planet Earth, and Earth, the core is also cooking. Yeah. So I have my kind of ideas because Earth's cooking many things. And I have my ideas. Almighty think, and living life in the multiverse. These kinds of things are also possible. So thank you so much for your kind interest. Yeah. So I'm like Wellerman here. The sea shanty. So may the Wellerman come and bring some sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. We got lots of stories. We're just getting started. Yeah, so do take your notes and bring your popcorns or other stuff. Lots of movies. We'll also watch movies and listen to song. We'll have to also look at details on what did you see, or how is your perspective on the movie, the story different from mine, for which we would need internet across boundaries. So we can actually have watch movies, have discussions, and then have our perspectives more appreciated. Good things possible. Architects and art people and kitchen people and security people, all talking across boundaries. We're all on the same planet Earth. Lot of things are possible, yeah. Win-win games. Yeah, win-win, all beautiful. More to follow. Yeah, thank you so much for your kind interest. Good day.